Hello and welcome. Will you be surprised if I tell you that 1/5 of the entire non-agriculture workforce in India either walks to work or takes a bus or a humble cycle? It is just 3 to 4% of Indians who commute, who work in the non-agriculture sector, they actually take a car or a van. But this small volume makes up the huge amount of jams which we witness on the roads and the unbreathable air we all have to confront. But automobiles are necessary. They make up almost 15% of the entire excise revenue India gets. Also, it makes up about 3.5 crore jobs in the country. So, what is the solution? The solution perhaps lies in innovating from moving from speed as a concept of moving from point A to B to sustainability. And that sustainability is critical as it needs innovation. We are today at a point where innovation could well be the new mantra. We are here at an automobile manufacturer's office which has a deep pedigree. A pedigree lasting almost 100 years, in which they have built not just people-friendly cars, broken land speed records way back in the 50s, but also created engines putting under the bonnet, which were V8 in character. Today, I have come to the Morris garages.
Hey, I am EV savvy, I am EV literate, and I'm EV certified.
पहले ये EV होती क्या है?
EV is much more beneficial than normal petrol diesel car.
What is Morris Garage doing for it?
It was about what all is required in the ecosystem to give this entire category and segment a booming start.
You see, there are two anxieties. One is the range anxiety, one is the charge anxiety.
You'll be surprised, there are more than 10,000 chargers in the country which are fast-speed DC chargers. The era for EV has stepped in. It will grow very fast as we see.
जब आप पेट्रोल पंप में पेट्रोल बनाते हैं तो आपको मोबाइल बंद करना होता है. यहाँ आप इसको मोबाइल से ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं. To find out how MG is energizing and electrifying the automobile ecosystem of the country, I have the Deputy MD
How are you
of
doing? Good to
MG
see you.
with me,
Lovely to
Gaurav
see you.
Gupta. Gaurav, I see these pictures and I find that how so little is known about MG's, the deep pedigree you have.
No, I think we are very privileged because how many brands in the country or in the world would have more than 100 years of history? Yes. And that too across the world. So it's definitely a place to build it up.
It is not ordinary existence.
It is not, yes.
It is significant. Breaking 240 miles per hour barrier with a 755cc engine.
That's right. The 181, these are the cars which have been legendary. They have been actually building up the innovation vertical of MG right from that time. So in fact, what was innovation in those days was about speed. Technology was about how fast you can go. That has now got metamorphosized or changed into current system or talking about technology. And that's what we've been working in India and across the world for MG in terms of bringing, whether it's electric cars, connected cars, autonomous cars, all of them are building up that whole innovation and technology pillar for the brand.
I've been looking at your portfolio, researching for this, and I find that from speed to sustainability, I think there is a new element coming is survival for the planet. I think that is now getting extremely factored into how automobile manufacturers like you build into. So let's go to your den and find out what your plans are.
The era for EV has stepped in. It will grow very fast as we see. And I'll be happy to talk to you about why the idea, the power of the idea, and the entire momentum it will build up will only grow from here. Okay. So it is here for us, for everybody.
Shall we sit here?
Yeah, please. That's.
So now we are in Gaurav's room. Small by the size of the weight the visiting card carries. But what I would want to know from somebody like you is that right now in the public mind space, there are more questions about EV than answers.
Yeah.
Though when they see EV, they see it more as a novelty. I almost at times feel that it is almost similar to what happened when I was young, and we used to have Premier Padminis and the ambassadors, and suddenly, we had the sleek, lean-looking Maruti 800. Can you tell me that why are there more questions today than the answers about EV?
I think you said it very correctly. When you look at questions for EV, I'd take us one step back, and I would say the most important part is that today we are having conversations on EV. And that to me is a very, very promising and a brilliant start, because conversations will lead to commerce eventually. And rightfully so. We're talking about a sector which has come into, you could say, mainstream conversation, or we are seeing products on the road in just about 7 to 8 years, less than a decade actually in India. And hence, a lot of questions are there, and there needs to be a lot more to be done in terms of building up this space by all the stakeholders. So the way you talked about, if you talk about ICE vehicles, the technology, the comfortableness of the entire generation to it, because we've all grown up with that, it comes naturally. Now, EV as a space is new technology. New technology, it requires a different mindset, obviously, to adopt to it, because it's a different lifestyle, which is sustainable, which is green. And at the same time, there is still a lot more to be done by the stakeholders in this space. We were talking earlier that if you talk about ICE vehicles, this entire ecosystem that is coming there. They're talking about whether it's the component manufacturers, the fuel companies, everyone comes together, and therefore it is building up for decades.
Yes, the amount of money that fuel companies have spending on that ecosystem, I think they are all part of the same thing.
Correct.
So much so, there were questions in Parliament that why do these companies with a captive market, they're all public sector companies with captive markets, if you don't have an Indian Oil, if you have board there, people still go and get fuel from you. They were spending. We came to know of simple terms like Sona steering, company manufacturing steering wheels. Is that the need of the hour for the entire EV system, that every stakeholder needs to now start getting part of it?
So look at the numbers, right? I think let's look at the numbers where we are. So we are right now close to about 2% of the Indian automotive passenger vehicle on an annual basis, which is, let's say, on a 4 million annual basis, we are close to about 100,000 units, expecting to be at about 50% over last year, this year. So we're still there's still a lot of headroom available for this sector. At any point in time, there will be at least 3 or 4 times more of the consumers who are, on that, you could say, fence sitting to say, should I or should I not jump to an EV? And there are many questions. Questions about range, questions about the charging infrastructure, questions about, the battery, in terms of while everybody, for example, in our car, in the ZS EV, we give an 8-year warranty. What happens beyond that warranty, etc. What happens to the life of the battery? There are questions from environmentalists about how a battery gets disposed. But there's also one key question about where do I go for all my questions? There are plethora of forums.
Yes.
But is there a central repository where I can go on more like a neutral base, where I can have my questions answered? FAQs, or DIYs also, in terms of, whether it's my range finder, route planners, FAQs and knowledge about batteries, the world trends, future scope as well. There's a lot more that is required to be done to really share all this with the consumers. And the other part is the ones who have adopted to EV in the last few years, what has been their experience? And it's very promising. It's very promising because there is a cost of ownership factor which is paramount as well. Because
but will you agree that what you're telling me is that till the questions are answered, this entire EV system will not move? What is Morris Garage doing for it? Because I see that there is a certain degree of what I call peer group responsibility that MG is taking, that if nobody has done it, we are going to do it. We are going to create a repository. We are going to create a finder or location finder to address the anxieties which are there. I see that you have EVpedia, you have eHub, you have eRevive, and you have MG Nurture. These are innovations within the system that you're building to answer a lot of these questions.
So,
Let's go one by one.
I'll go one by one. And before that, I'll go back, Rahul, to 2019, December, when we first unveiled the ZS EV for India. Like we always say, it takes a village to raise a child. So it was for us not just about launching the car. It was about what all is required in the ecosystem to give this entire category and segment a booming start. So we got into talking about recycling. We talked about charging infrastructure. We actually pioneered with some of the Indian players to help them understand how to build a charger for the cars, for electric vehicle cars. The last mile installation of a home charger, for example. So there was a lot of work that we had done along with launching the car.
It's almost like a startup.
And MG is a startup in India in all sorts. We also had a 5-step solution for charging for consumers. So should you buy the car today or you bought it 4 years ago, we had a cable in the car. We had a home charger put up for you. Part of the car cost itself free of cost. We had chargers in our dealerships. We had highway chargers. And we had charging on the go. So we partnered with people to have mobile vans to charge your car should you have an issue of being stuck on the road. Now fast forward that today. So obviously, that work has started, but more needs to be done. So where are we today? Talking about it one by one. So first and foremost is we realize that if you and I were to buy a car, and let's talk in normal consumer language, and if I was to come to you and say, listen, Rahul, I'm looking at buying an EV, your first point would be, चार्जिंग कहाँ करेगा? चार्जर दिखते नहीं है मुझे. The point is, they are enough.
Or would it be the पहले ये EV होती क्या है?
That also is true. You're true. Yeah.
There is a great amount of lack of understanding, because I think the common man's understanding of a non-combustible engine vehicle, the most visible thing is the e-rickshaws.
Yeah.
So they think it is a slightly more glamorized e-rickshaw.
Well, I would not probably say glamorized e-rickshaw, because that is a very point-to-point factor. But yes, it talks about
in terms of technological understanding,
basic starting. Whether it's e-bikes, etc. But I think a lot of knowledge has been imparted about batteries from mobile phones also. So let's go one by one. You talked about charging infrastructure, right? No, you'll be surprised. There are more than 10,000 chargers in the country which are fast speed DC chargers, which means you can top up your car. In the case of a ZS EV, typically you will never be empty battery, right? It will be 50%. You could be topping up your battery in about 20 minutes if you are on a highway, which is your refreshment stop, right? But the point is, there is no initiative done to a big national level where you can have all of the chargers at one aggregator platform.
Really?
So literally to say, if I was to answer you, you would ask me, charging kahan karoge? I would say, listen, I've got my solution. Here is an app called eHub, and it happens to be from MG, but this is more a work done to initiate and bringing all the charge point operators together in the country. So you can see all of them around you. You can make your trip planning. You can understand, where should I plan my stop? It gives you confidence, because, we are used to seeing all our oil company setups on highways or in the city, whereas for a charging point setup, in the mind, we have to look around. But the moment you have this app, the discovery part becomes your biggest confidence driver in the whole factor.
You see, there are two anxieties. One is the range anxiety, one is the charge anxiety.
Yeah.
These are the two anxieties which we have shared with the EVs today.
So, sorry for interrupt, but the range anxiety, I would say to a large extent has been addressed, because the batteries now come with a decent
certain reliability.
Like the ZS EV comes with about a 461 range, which is good enough for your 2-3 days of intra-city travel, about 60 kilometers a day. You're good enough, you top it up. And a lot of chargers, a lot of customers, of our current customers, 90% plus, are doing home charging. So that part is, I would say, to a large extent,
that MG in its EV ecosystem has created a situation where the battery reliability anxiety is over.
I would say that, yes.
And have you done something technologically to do that?
See, the battery itself, our batteries that we have right now are Prism batteries, and they are the chemistry of the battery, the structure of the battery, and more than what we say is actually the word of mouth of our customers in India and worldwide. The ZS EV battery that we have actually has delivered in driving confidence of battery performance. That is a very important factor, because there would be cases about you promise X but you deliver X minus delta, and that can lead to disappointment.
So next is the charge anxiety. So this e-hub is your one shop window to find out where the charger is,
Exactly.
nearest locator.
So you can do multiple aspects there. One is the first confidence factor is, hey, where are the chargers? Number two.
It's an app. Explain me from step by step. It's an app.
So eHub is a aggregator of all, you could say, well, almost all the chargers in the country, which are the fast chargers in the country. Right?
And these are installed in public places?
These are installed in public
private
installed in public
apartments,
places.
Government buildings.
See, these are all installed in public places which are accessible for your usage. Which means that you could have it in an apartment complex, which will not be captured here. We can do that, but you typically will not be able to go
able to access.
You won't have access to it. So that won't serve your purpose.
So these are accessible public places.
Correct. Second, it also tells you whether the charger that is there, is it compatible with your car or not? So that is very important, because there are, in the past, you may want or there were cars which have different charging requirements, or even today you want a DC fast charger or an AC fast charger. It gives you the type of charger that is there, so that helps you in planning. The third part it tells you is whether the charger is functioning or not functioning.
Oh, you mean to say it's live?
It's live.
That you don't travel 20 kilometers
and they say,
and find कि ये तो चल नहीं रहा है, जैसे पेट्रोल पंप पे होता है अभी.
Sometimes, right? Exactly. They say, डीजल नहीं है.
मुझे गूगल मैप दिखा रहा है कि वो 20 किलोमीटर पे एक पेट्रोल पंप है.
Correct.
वहां पहुंचे तो वो तख्ती लटका हुआ है, out of order.
Out of order. तो यहाँ पे नहीं होगा. You'll come to know it is working. In fact, it will also highlight to you when was it last used.
Okay.
So, and it also tells you availability. So you see, one is discovery. Second is it is compatible with your car or not. कि आपकी गाड़ी के लिए ये सही है कि नहीं. Third part is कि ये काम करता है कि नहीं. Fourth is last कब use हुआ था. When was it last used? And the fifth is that it will also tell you available है कि नहीं. Because the point is there could be some other car which may be using it, and you may not be able to use it.
It's that kind of
the technology is now the data sharing, and I must thank the charge point operators, frankly, for coming together and helping us build this platform, because this whole work actually, Rahul, is to build and give consumers confidence to shift over to the EV, and it's actually a sectoral work.
Okay, but will you say that there are a large number of charge operators now?
Well, there are multiple charge operators in the country, but in terms of size and scale, you could say about 10 to 12 are size or are numbers which are big, but a lot of others are building up as well. So
it's a kind of a growing family now?
It's a growing family. So you have large players like the oil companies who have also got in there, and their intent is to, have a charging point across their existing, stations that they have on the highways. So it will be a very good setup, right? You have every charger every 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, every 30 kilometers. There's a government direction as well, but there's also a private sector plan. So it gets
Where do
many
we stand in terms of the nearest available locator charge point compared to a developed West?
See, it will be very difficult to, it's not apple to apple comparison, and I would say that because the density of the EV right now in the country is still low. So when we look at comparators about how many chargers are there and how much is the car park, there will be various comparisons. But fundamental, the way I see it as a normal person, if I am living in Gurgaon and I say, यहाँ से अगर मैं जाता हूँ जयपुर, उदयपुर, यहाँ से मैं जाऊँगा let us say जम्मू, अगर come to the hills, Dehradun, Chandigarh, Lucknow, can I do my entire range in an EV today? The answer is yes. In fact, I can do Delhi, Bombay in an EV. There have been people who have driven from Kanyakumari to Kashmir in an EV. But
really?
those are people who are very few who will do it. But the whole point is it's available for you to drive now. So in my Rozmara ki life, I will say it's my second car, for example, in the family as of today. But can I make it my primary usage? Which means within the city, I should feel comfortable to use it. There's no problem because the range is good enough. So your daily usage, you can blindly drive an EV. The concern of people was that if I do intercity, कि अगर मैं शहर से बाहर जाता हूँ, if I do Bangalore to Hyderabad, for example, या Bombay, Pune, can I go in an EV? The answer is yes. Look at the best example today, Karimnagar, Warangal and Hyderabad, that entire triangle, best for an EV. Kanpur, Delhi and an EV. And best part is, Rahul, chargers are there. So this aggregator now, eHub by MG, helps you to see all your chargers. Your running cost is so low. It is
I
a 1 rupee
will
a
interrupt you
kilometer.
here. I see a huge virtue in this e-hub, not just in intercity travel actually, because a large number of people do commute driving. In fact, there is a very interesting data in the census that 35 crore odd people are traveling to work only 1 to 5 kilometers. Now, if you have that kind of picture, I think it's an enabler that somebody like a lady in the house who drives a car of her own, that sense of anxiety one would have that if she has gone, or a daughter or a son with an electric vehicle, this e-hub is an enabler, because I know that in case of a shortage or battery going down because of XYZ reason, she will get through this e-hub by MG, get to a charging point easily, and even in a city.
Yeah, and plan it also. Exactly, you're right. So if you're in Gurgaon, for example, or in Delhi or in Mumbai, any city, you know exactly where the chargers are available.
Otherwise, it will be a run around.
Yep.
So this e-hub, will it be available only for MG owners?
No, it's universal, and it's
you mean to say that you are doing the
it's
entire EV ecosystem in the country, and your rivals a favor?
Everyone, because frankly, Rahul, I think someone has to step up to be as a catalyst to drive this confidence and be an enabler in the whole thing. So it is in a way an initiative to grow the segment, help the fence sitters get the confidence, and make it as an enabler for EV adoption. So it is for everybody. It is not just for MG customers.
You can, if MG gives an app which aggregates all the charging points in the country and other car manufacturers don't have it, you have one big reason why a lot of people will shift from others to you.
I would say our intent is not for that. Our intent is frankly to give people confidence that there are chargers available. That should not hold you back from moving on to a better quality of automotive experience.
You're actually looking at a wider audience.
Wider audience. A wider stance.
You're encouraging people to join the EV this thing.
Yes.
Okay. EVpedia.
EVpedia in a similar way. You talked about there are more questions and where do they find the answers to. So our initiative was, should we keep giving out information in bits and pieces, in snack bites? The answer is yes, but can there be one repository which again is neutral in nature and it helps answer questions to people which they've been asking. So we actually researched what are the most frequently asked questions about EV, whether it is range, battery, resale value, how much can I plan my trip, the trends of EV, technology, partnerships, you name it, right? So we have therefore put all of these questions together, made verticals out of it, and along with our on-ground initiatives,
it's available online.
It's available online and to everybody, and we're calling it, the way we know Wikipedia, we're calling it EVpedia. So EVpedia actually is a go-to stop, if I can say that, or a go-to destination.
And it's in different languages?
The work is on for different languages, but it is starting right now. And it is also going to be very open for collaborative in nature. So it's not going to be only,
people can add to it.
People can add to it. People can, build up on it. There will be a plan to have a debate section on it. It's a place where you could say it's a hangout place and also an indulgent place.
You mean to say people can join in and ask questions, people can join in and answer questions?
Both.
That's fantastic. Because that actually creates more trust, because when some user or a subscriber of anything is actually answering questions, people trust more than a company.
That's right.
Yeah, it could well be.
And it's a peer-to-peer.
Yeah. And what about e-Revive?
So, a lot of questions was being asked about the batteries in an EV. What would be will it go for recycling? Does it get spoil the environment? And here, this initiative that we've been doing, and we have taken a few experiments in the past also. The objective is, Rahul, to say that an electric vehicle battery or an EV battery, the life of the battery actually is frankly quite, almost you could say, an endless in many words, because the usage goes on beyond its life on the road. So should for some reason a battery gets damaged in the on the road, it can still be very worthy of a second life.
Okay.
So the second life now is what? Second life is the cells of the battery have got potential and they've got life. So we have worked with partners in the past and today, and I'll talk about that, where these cells are taken on and become a storage stack. Now this storage stack of battery can become the way on mobiles we carry a battery pack. So now these cells from these batteries can become a storage pack, and they can be serving a great way to serve the community. And what have we done?
You're doing it in Mukteshwar.
Yeah, just right. So we have partnered with TEDI, the Energy Research Institute, and along with our partner Loham, we have taken a pilot project in Mukteshwar, wherein we have looked at one school and also a food processing unit, where the farmers of the place would bring their produce for processing, and because of erratic power supply, which could be sometimes shortfall of, they could be 1 day without power or 7 days without power. So our experiment that we have done successfully is, you use a solar panel, get the energy and put it in this energy pack. And this can be your energy device should you not have the regular power supply. So kids in the school are able to use their computers and get connected for education. The food processing unit is able to produce the fruits, because they are perishable. And therefore the farmers get a better livelihood because everything goes into the economy as well. Earlier we had done a similar project with IIT Delhi, as well with BATEX and then DRIEV, which is part of the Ministry of Commerce over here, and with the principal scientific advisor of the Government of India. Together we partnered and we put up again these cells as an energy stack and for public to come and charge your vehicles. So solar paneled, this energy stack charges it up, and 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers can use it for charging their vehicles. So you revive what you may call it as a dead battery.
For an EV manufacturer like you, is it difficult to get trained personnel? While there, this is a strange paradox. You've got a huge set of unemployment. There are people who are trained but are not getting employed because they are unemployable by a certain set of industries.
See, when you look at the numbers part over here, I think I would say at this point in time, more is less. Because you need to look at, massive amount of manpower coming in to give that confidence that you don't have to always get stuck for your vehicle to go to a place for any kind of, that confidence which you have in ICE today, for example, you could get stuck anywhere, somebody will fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm not proposing or propagating, on the go repairs, but that confidence will come when more and more people are able to say, hey, I am EV savvy, I am EV literate, and I'm EV certified.
That's the success behind a car like the Maruti 800.
Or even mobile phones.
The ease. Whereas the EVs have much lesser moving parts.
The cost of maintenance is much lower. The battery performance is better. The driving comfort is better. So overall, you really have, and the cost of ownership, it is a fraction. So today a ZS EV, for example, is about 1 rupee a kilometer. So you actually can do an entire, look at this maths. In fact, I was talking about this when we were launching with BPCL last year, the corridor Delhi-Jalandhar of electric, putting up charging stations. A family of 4, if they were to go from Delhi to Jalandhar and back in a Shatabdi, they would spend close to about 10,000 rupees because, you have a family of 4, tickets, going by a taxi to the station, platform tickets, etc., up and down. And there, now you have a car, 4 of you, drive from Delhi, do a midpoint top up, stay there, the car is at your disposal, coming back, all put together less than 5,000 rupees. So you really have a cost advantage, convenience, and most important, confidence of being as a family together for mobility.
Can I put you to a test? Can I take you outside in one of your cars, take you to a charging station, you find one for us first, and then you show us how the whole thing works?
You are talking about what's the best part about what I like to do. Getting out of the office and getting behind a wheel of a car. So let's do that. Perfect.
It's your office, indeed.
So if you see, we've got all our route maps here. All our showrooms, the whole map of our distributor shop is live on now. Yeah, so if you see, we've got our entire network mapped out on the ceiling. So you've got Pune, South Mumbai,
showrooms?
all our showrooms. So if you see that's going towards south, right? Kolhapur, Goa, Calicut, it goes towards south. So likewise, the whole ceiling is mapped out like this.
Service centers also?
Service centers and workshop. Yeah, interesting. And all these lamps are
How far is
these
the-
are like London street lamps. So it gives you the whole flavor of
The Morris.
Morris, born in
Legacy.
the UK, legacy and born in the UK. In fact, if you go on the other side of our office, you will see our the famous UK telephone booth,
The red booth.
the red booth. That's our brand promise.
How much is the...
Enable exciting experiences every time, which means that always try and give consumer a little bit extra than expect.
See, this has become very important. These two.
Yeah.
People are not looking to move from point A to B
And-
nearly.
And this is every time. So
Yeah,
you
each
always
time.
look at
It's
delta MO. And that's very critical.
It's not just a car, it's fun vehicle.
Yeah, indulgent.
So that whole exciting experiences.
So welcome to our flagship showroom in India. We inaugurated this in 2019 June. And if you see, the entire showroom is a very different construct.
Yeah.
Double height. It's got the largest video wall in the country, if you see on your left.
Oh, that's huge.
It also reflects on the top.
And your Hector has one of the largest screens.
Has one of the largest screens.
And I find it this very interesting that your ancestry being reflected here.
This is
With
there.
the red telephone booth.
You see behind there's
And the Big Ben.
the Big Ben, and that's real wood. That's
Oh.
real handcrafted wood. And you will not have any showroom in the country which is also about normal flooring and real road showroom. You actually get a feeling of the car, how the car will be on the
color.
road. The color,
The texture.
the black, absolutely.
See, what I want to know.
And then we've got this entire EV setup on the wall over here, because people have questions like we talked. Where is the battery port? Do I have access to the battery? How does it charge? All of those questions are there.
My question is that any technological innovation eventually leads to a situation that I, a car buyer, reach a showroom. आप कहते हैं कि साहब डाउन पेमेंट कर दो, इतना EMI पड़ेगा, इतना ये पड़ेगा. आप कागज साइन करवाते हैं, उसके बाद कहते हैं साहब 6 महीने बाद आना. That is a killjoy, because that idea of car buying is कि मैं अभी पैसा दे रहा हूँ, मेरे को 1-2 दिन में गाड़ी दे दीजिए.
नहीं, मैं तो आपसे कुछ और बोलूंगा. 1-2 दिन में नहीं, कि मैं आज पैसे दे रहा हूँ और अभी गाड़ी लेके जा रहा हूँ. So आजकल क्या, पहले कोविड के टाइम पे गाड़ियों में शॉर्टेज थी, बिकॉज चिप्स की शॉर्टेज हो गई थी. So there was a chip shortage globally. Semiconductors, etc. And these are cars which are very advanced now. We have connectivity, electric, so they require multiple chips. So the जो ज़रूरत है connectivity की और semiconductors की ज़्यादा थी. But today, because of the way we have all planned it now, extra manufacturing, also to be able to make compatibility, कि अगर chip कोई कम भी है, तो how can you have double role playing जो existing semiconductor है आपका. Today, frankly, cars are available as per the demand of the customer. There would be some variants.
Your ZSE.
Yeah, this is our new green edition. And there would be some variants, Rahul, जहाँ पे आपको wait करना पड़ सकता है कुछ 2-3 या 4 हफ्ते. But more or less, today the manufacturing capability of the industry and MG
What
has
about
been
MG?
built up.
Oh, I want to know that.
MG is now available.
This is really new technology.
Yeah,
You've
this-
got battery issues. You have to get a lot of things from outside and then put this car together.
Well, we are working as we speak on assembling the battery in our factory,
Okay.
which means that cells, of course, like everybody, is being imported, but the battery assembly has started for us, and we are working in that direction to make it in India. That becomes very important.
Okay.
Second, a lot of the localization has also taken place, whether it is seats, bumpers,
I heard
fenders.
a lot of your cars have already reached 54%.
In fact, the Hector is close to 80% now localization. So the localization, like I said, varies for car to car. And we are making these cars available as we speak. Our plant capacity, when we took over the plant in 2017, the capacity was about 60,000 cars. We have ramped it up to close to 1.25 lakh cars in the same facility through modernization, through better planning, etc. And we are on the verge of taking up a second plant.
But what about the EV sales?
Yeah, so you're talking about our capacity and our sales. So I'm happy to share that if you look at Jan to July 2024 versus last year, or H1, Jan to June, let's say, the industry in India for EV has grown by about 13 to 14%. but MG Motor India sales, or rather now I would say JSW MG Motor India sales, has increased by 70%.
Really?
And today, 40% of our sales is EV sales.
What do you attribute to this to?
So we attribute this to the repositioning of the ZS EV, the better momentum that we have got from the MG Comet that you see on your behind. These two cars have helped us to reach a 40% mark of our total sales. We have repositioned them this year, and an entire new approach that we have got, that cities where the acceptance of EV is higher is being, more and more we're doing focused energy there itself. So that is working out very well.
One thing which I found very surprising is how come a new player like MG is actually enjoying such lovely resale values. You got awarded for that.
Yes, well, the resale value for us extends not only for EV but also for our ICE vehicles. So if you see right behind you, this is the MG Hector. The MG Hector has got the highest resale value in the SUV segment.
Why?
Which, when I say why, because the car has got good performance. We also, after 3 years, you can get it up to 74% of the resale value,
Really?
which is the industry highest standard, right? And the reason for that is that the car itself is of good quality. We have a good 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty. And more importantly, I would say the entire maintenance cost, which is very, very low. Frankly, a monthly repair bill of this car would be less than on the ballpark of rupees 500. So if you're looking at that kind of a cost, and you're looking at a good, warranty package for the car, the comfort of the vehicle, all of that has helped in giving a lot of confidence to the customer.
What I wanted to see also, you to show us that, EV, one idea that it has all the bells and whistles. The sense of comfort is as good or as fantastic as any other vehicle one might be on the road. How do you ensure that that creature comfort which a car person buys are at par with the best in the market?
This car, if you see, frankly, whether it is in terms of, when if you see it, the entire fascia of the vehicle, right?
Yep.
It's modern, it's international. In fact, the ZS EV is sold in Europe, it's sold in UK, sold in Australia.
So there is nothing ki hum third world ke
This,
liye alag la rahe
absolutely,
hain.
this is an international quality built car. Safety standards, features, all at par. Now the important part is that whether it is seating comfort, whether it is the battery, whether it is the entire the silence of the car when you drive on the roads, all of that is phenomenal. The car has been customized for India. What does it mean? Whether it is ground clearance, because our roads, do have suspension, the ground clearance, little bit of, the tweaking that's required for making it India specific has been done, obviously. But overall, it's a brilliant, brilliant package. Let's go for a spin.
Let's go for a spin and check what you are saying, how true and good it is.
Let's do that.
But nice, I like the idea of women buying SUVs.
In fact, you will be surprised, there are more women buyers for EVs and growing momentum as well. So the EVs actually are it's a driving pleasure. It's automatic, it's silent, less moving parts, overall ease of driving.
It's being also considered safer
Safer
for women.
also. Correct.
That's another very interesting element.
Yeah.
But Gaurav, before we get into your EV, I want to test your e-hub.
Sure, in fact, we should do
I
that.
want you to find me the nearest charging point.
I will do that, absolutely. So this is the app.
Okay.
I open it. It finds my location. It says my nearest location charger is about less than a kilometer from here. So
It's
let's
as
do that.
fast as that?
It is. So let's
I'm
do
going to say
that.
you tapped your location and it showed you immediately.
It is.
So it is not that you have to do too much of typing
No,
and
it
finding.
picks up your location as per your default setting. And then because I have already set it what my car requirement is,
And it is telling you it's operational.
it's telling me it's operational, it's
free.
available, and it also tells me that what is the charge, what is the amount of rupees I have to pay per kilowatt at that charger.
You mean to say, unlike petrol pumps where you can be cheated on the amount of fuel being put in, this one cannot really do it. Let's get into the
Let's
car.
go that.
Oh, the smell of a new car and a smell of an EV, unlike there is no trace of
And the silence
combustion.
of an EV. And the silence of an EV.
Yes.
There you go.
So this vehicle is telling us how much charge is there also
Yes.
already.
It tells you exactly how much charge is there, how many kilometers you can go to.
Does it have a correlation with the amount of air conditioning you're running
Well, it does. So, the point is that when we give a certified rating of the mileage, it takes into account a combination of the usage patterns,
Okay.
city driving, highway driving, etc.
Okay.
So you have all of that built in into your mileage rating.
Okay. So when it shows, it depends on what you
So
have
when
been
you're
doing
seeing
with the car.
exactly, so when it tells me, for example, this is the kind of range the car has got right now, it is showing us about 225 kilometers, right? It means it is assessing my usage pattern, and at this point in time, that's the kind of range I can take up the car to. Now, obviously, if I change my driving pattern, or there's something which comes up, which is unexpected on the road, then it will all modify. But in general, what you see on the screen is your guiding factor.
See, on this humid day, it's nice and assuring to find that the hum of the engine is not audible. It's the hum of the AC which is audible.
And in fact, we can actually lower that also to make it even more silent.
Silent.
There you go. Now, we were talking earlier that the only sound you can hear inside an EV literally is the sound around it.
Yes.
And just imagine if, well, I would love to say all, but if most of the vehicles, turn into, being environment friendly and getting onto the EV, just imagine the kind of silence you would be having it on the roads of the country.
And even if 50%
And just
or
in a better
25
quality of
conversion
exactly, yeah.
will lead to a lot of decibel lowering as per our right now, because otherwise you find that offices and homes have to be sound insulated, noise insulated.
Yeah, people spend a lot of money putting up extra
that
screens.
means another saving which in the long run people can have by inducting a new technology.
One is saving, and the better part is less fatigue, because when you end up being on a road for longer time, there's a lot of sound decibels which
noise,
is hitting you.
Sound, the vibration.
So it all
I think
adds
this
to
is
your
also the
comfort.
good thing is vibration is not there.
No, so yeah, because there are less moving pieces.
Yeah.
There's a less vibration is less, and therefore overall silence, less vibration, all of that adds to your quality of drive, and hence less fatigue, and an enjoyable drive rather, I would say as well.
Does it need a lot of technological variations to switch from it? Because interoperability of a vehicle, that petrol to diesel,
if you ask me,
is easy, but this is totally different beast.
Once you drive an EV, chances are very low that you would like to go back to an ICE vehicle. The pickup, that's the response of the torque, the entire, like I said, the package of being silent, the controls, it takes you to a different level, different meaning altogether. So I would say that for me, it's very difficult to get back to an ICE vehicle now, having experienced an EV for some time.
What I want to know that, are you satisfied, or are makers like MG happy with the incentivization which is happening by the government? Incentivization and also policy formulation which are EV friendly. Do you think something needs to be done? What is the existing and what needs to be done?
So, interestingly, I must say that there's a lot of support that the government has really, been doing for a few years now. Be it the GST being reduced for EVs, as well as the PLI we talked earlier in terms of helping the manufacturing of components, OEMs, as well as for the cell chemistry, for the cells. And there are some states as well now where the road tax has been, supporting the EV adoption by giving some benefits to EV.
Which are these states?
So we've got a few states. For example, you've got the Delhi state, you've got Maharashtra, you've got Tamil Nadu, Kerala in certain brackets. There are some states which had given good incentives for EV adoption, but they are reviewing their policy as we speak, which means that if it was flat zero, they're putting up some slabs there. So it's a continuous moving and dynamic cycle. And there's a lot of talk about, internationally as well, to look at the overall taxation structure. So, we in some of the earlier interactions we've spoken that it'll be great for, all the states to support this entire movement towards EV. Because it also helps us to save the overall oil pool deficit of the country, because we are still
one of the biggest
net
issues.
Importer of oil. And while there are some components who talk about that, it is the power supply is coming from fossil fuels, But here is the numbers, right? कि अगर आप देखो कि right now, yes, less percentage of generation of power is coming from renewables. But Modi ji has clearly said, the Prime Minister has, the direction is very clear that 50%, 50% प्रतिशत will be coming in from renewables by 2030, which means your generation of power becomes eco-friendly and green. Second, you have EV adoption, and ultimately अगर आप, मैं ये कहता हूँ, अगर आप fossil fuels भी use भी कर रहे हो, it is still from within your country. You're not importing to drive mobility. So overall, you are consuming what you have, and that too in the direction to becoming more renewables. So Rahul, like you said, what more can be done? And like I acknowledged, a lot has been done. But as we go, further, I think with the change of times and with the change of multiple technologies coming into the mobility space, I think it's the right time to review the overall the structure of how we tax this entire segment.
Okay.
Which would mean that
can you move away from the past regimes of taxation?
Yeah, review that, and see what is applicable for tomorrow. So should it be based on pure engine size, engine cc displacement and the vehicle size, or if we are working towards our net zero target as a country, or should we be basing it based on emissions and so on and so forth? So there's a lot of opportunity available to review and replan as we go forward.
As I said in the beginning, that now that the idea behind buying a vehicle is not just speeding, it is about sustainability and survival of the planet. In that, you think that new benchmarks for taxation have to be created, that how efficient you are in terms of your mobility, that should become the base criteria for taxation. You're saying
absolutely, and that's why when you have a green number plate, we have seen that it helps a lot of people, feel not, I would say, that they're, hey, listen, this is my way to be one up the other, but it's also giving a stance that, listen, I am moving towards a sustainable planet. I am moving towards saving the planet for the future generation. I am doing my bit, and therefore, in fact, incidentally, this reminds me of the campaign we had with the ZSEV, which said, change what you can. Okay. So I'm doing my bit to change.
And you do the same.
And if you can join me, all of us literally, move on.
So the question which I want to ask, which is more to buttress what you have said, you see, irrespective of the fact that there is certain amount of power upping which is needed, power generation, the fact is that 60% is the efficiency of grid to wheel as far as the EVs are concerned, whereas in the case of petrol and diesel, it is 17 to 21%. You're actually wasting something close to 80% of the energy generated from the fuel, whereas here it is merely 40%. So its efficiency is much higher.
And in fact, that's
even if you incorporate the pollution and load, because of added power generation, government statistics say that EVs will be still 3 times less.
So that's what Professor Panigrahi just mentioned in his discussion, that when you look at the overall, the entire circular economy, if you could say that, and the entire equation, EVs actually are working out as a much better solution overall. And like you just said right now, in terms of power consumption or usage, right from putting it to use actually for mobility, EVs are much better.
Okay. There is another issue. There are 2 issues. One is the price of the battery itself. But would you like to say that in the last 10 years, the battery prices have already halved? And in the coming, if there is a new buyer today, by the time he buys an EV today and 8 years later, that's the lifespan of the battery you are giving, there could well be another halving in the prices?
Well, there's one correction here, Rahul, that we are giving an 8-year warranty. But that is not limited to the battery life.
Okay.
The life of the battery actually goes on much, much longer.
Okay.
And therefore...
So it is not that after 8 years it will go kaput?
Not at all. In fact, when we do the maths, the life of the battery typically outpaces the life of the car.
Oh. So we are here.
This is where we charge our
So
car.
this is also installed by you?
Well, this is part of our network chargers for the community.
Okay.
But it also is available for public, and hence it came on the phone.
Okay.
Goodbye.
So now it's a very easy process.
Okay.
You know what I would do is I would unlock this from here. It's a very simple process. As you can see, I open the flap over here,
Okay.
and here is the thing that I open. I open this charger from here. You see the blue color? It means the charger is working,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
this
you see the flash, the flashing you see over here. The charger is working. It's available. I put it over here. I put it in my gun. There you go. And on my mobile, I click the app to say start charging, right? And lo and behold, it's charging now. You see, it's becoming green.
Okay.
So now
So the green symbolizes
the green symbolizes that the car is being charged.
being charged. Okay.
And this only got activated after I put the gun in the car. And
Okay.
then I said, okay, it's all activated on my app, start charging.
And you
So-
don't have to watch कि अब मेरा पेट्रोल गिर रहा है तो मैं ध्यान रखूँ. So you just fit and forget.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
And as much charge as it
In
needs
fact,
to get
if I tell you, बिल्कुल अगर मैं हिंदी में आपको बताऊं, बहुत ही सरल, बहुत ही सिंपल. आप यहाँ पहुँचे, आपको पता ही था कि यहाँ चार्जर आपके लिए अवेलेबल है, तो आपने आए अपने यहाँ पर फ्लैप खोला है, अपने केबल, अपने ये गन निकाली, चार्जिंग गन, 1 शॉट फिटिंग, मोबाइल ऐप से आपने ऑन किया, चार्जिंग इज़ ऑन. उसके बाद जितना भी आप चार्ज करोगे, चॉइस इज़ योर्स. आपने 10 किलोवाट आपने यूज़ किया है, आपने 10 यूनिट चार्ज करें, 20 करें, जितने भी आपने यूनिट लिए, उसके हिसाब से you'll pay the bill.
So how do you pay the bill?
Again online transaction. So you can
Okay.
pay via the app itself.
So it goes to Exicom or the
So
installing company?
so they will see, Exicom here is the charger manufacturer.
manufacturer.
But the
MG has installed
MG
it.
has installed it as a part of community service.
Service.
But the charge point operator could be different.
Okay.
So they are the ones who would actually be
The billers are
the
different.
billers are different.
Okay.
Exactly.
Billers are different. Okay.
So here, when we look at the discovery on the app, the eHub, you can discover it, you can land up there, and when you're making the payment, you know, depending on the entire partnership with the entire hub, with the aggregator, you can go directly to the partner to pay,
Okay.
or you can pay it through the common app itself. So there's a choice available.
एक
and-
गूगल पे मोस्ट सर्च क्वेश्चन में से एक ये भी था जो कि मुझे लोगों ने पूछा कि ये मशीन में इतना तेज वोल्टेज आता होगा, इसमें करंट लगने का डर तो नहीं है?
नहीं, कोई करंट नहीं है. ये देखिए, ये बाहर पे है, दिन भर बाहर है, बारिशों में भी
बारिश में
बाहर है. These are all insulated, all weather proof.
यानी झटका नहीं, जोर का
कुछ नहीं
झटका
लगेगा. बल्कि तो मैं ये कहता हूँ कि यही चार्जर्स यूरोप में लगते हैं, यही चार्जर्स दुनिया भर में लगते हैं. वहाँ पे बर्फ़ भी गिरती है, यहाँ पे बारिश भी होती है, आंधी तूफान भी है. इट इज़ एब्सोल्युटली सेफ.
यानी एक इंटरेस्टिंग डिफरेंस है. जब आप पेट्रोल पंप में पेट्रोल भराते हैं तो आपको मोबाइल बंद करना होता है, यहाँ आप इसको मोबाइल से ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं. सो दैट्स अ इंटरेस्टिंग. एक सवाल और जो गूगल पे लोग ने सर्च किया कि भाई ये तो बिजली की गाड़ी है, बारिश होगी तो इसमें प्रॉब्लम आएगी.
नहीं, ऐसी बात नहीं है कोई. इनफैक्ट जब हमने ये गाड़ी लॉन्च करी थी 2019 में, हमने इसकी बैटरी को एक्चुअली दिखाया था कि बैटरी को अगर आप पानी में भी रख सकते हैं. नॉर्मल ऑब्वियसली अगर आप गाड़ी को 1-1 घंटा रखेंगे पानी में तो गाड़ी में वैसे ही प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है. बट ऐसे गाड़ी इज़ एब्सोल्युटली सेफ. और यहाँ पे मैं एक चीज़ जरूर बताऊंगा कि वाइल दिस इज कम्प्लीटली सेफ, आप देख रहे हैं मैं सब जगह छू रहा हूँ, बट इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट ये है कि इसको इंस्टॉल कैसे किया गया है.
Okay.
यानी कि इसकी जो केबलिंग है पीछे में, उसकी इंसुलेशन कैसी है, उसकी वायरिंग की जो गेज है वो कैसी है, उस वायरिंग की रेटिंग क्या है, वो बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़ है. सो अगर दैट इज़ ऑल टेकन केयर ऑफ, if it is installed with the proper protocol, the wiring, the entire procedure over here, then it is absolutely, don't have to worry much.
Let's go to the rear of this vehicle.
Sure.
See, while you are इसको चार्ज कर रहे हैं, कॉमन मैन जब ऐसी एक गाड़ी के लिए जाता है तो उसका प्राइसिंग एक इशू माना जाता है कि साहब ये महंगी है, 20-25%, 35% महंगी है. कैन यू, for the common man, can you break down the cost benefit analysis, what is called the Edgeworth box diagram in a economics theory?
You know, so you are right. You know, the important part is जो आपने कहा ना कि शुरू में अगर आपको लगेगा कि गाड़ी महंगी है, you are right. But अगर आप इस गाड़ी को आप खरीदते हैं और अपने पास रखते हैं 5 साल, जो लोग अक्सर रखते हैं 4 से 5 साल, तो जो आपका खर्चा होता है मेंटेनेंस का, जो चार्जिंग का, और जितनी आप डिस्टेंस चलाते हैं, अगर आप पूरे का आप मैथ्स या गणित लगाते हैं तो यू विल फाइंड ईवी इज़ मच बेटर ऑन टोटल ओनरशिप कॉस्ट. यानी कि परचेजिंग, रनिंग द व्हीकल, पेइंग फॉर द बिजली फॉर द चार्जर, मेंटेनेंस, और बाद में अगर आप उसको रीसेल भी करते हैं तो पूरे अगर सर्कल देखोगे तो ईवी इज़ मच मच मोर बेनिफिशियल दैन नॉर्मल पेट्रोल डीजल कार। लेकिन ये ज़रूर है कि शुरू में अगर आप बोलोगे कि शायद आपको लगता है कि गाड़ी महंगी है, लेकिन हम लोग क्या सोचते हैं कि एक बार हमने गाड़ी ख़रीद ली है और हम लोग की एक फितरत हो चुकी है कि हम लोग को एक हैबिट है कि हम गाड़ी इतनी की लेंगे, चाहे ईएमआई देंगे, और साथ में महीने का 10,000 रुपये का पेट्रोल। अगर आप चलाते हैं गाड़ी, समझे अब मैं कहता हूँ 1000 या 1005 किलोमीटर चलाते हैं आप, 100 लीटर आपको लगेगा पेट्रोल या डीजल, तो 10,000 का खर्चा आ जाएगा। तो वी आर मेंटली ट्यून कि एक ईएमआई है और एक खर्चा है मेरे फ्यूल का, करेक्ट। अगर आप दोनों को कंबाइन कर देते हैं कि मेरा टोटल खर्चा कितना आता है, और उसको आप कंपेयर करिए ईवी से, जहाँ पे रनिंग कॉस्ट इज़ लेस देन ₹1 पर किलोमीटर, और यस थोड़ा सा आज के दिन में देर इज़ द इनिशियल पार्ट इज़ स्लाइटली हायर, बट देर इज़ अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क हैपनिंग हाउ टू मेक दैट ऑल्सो पॉसिबल।
यानी कॉस्ट कम करने के काम चल रहा है।
करेक्ट, सो देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ इनिशिएटिव्स हैपनिंग।
आम आदमी की
और जैसे अगर आप वो कंबाइन कर देंगे, ओनरशिप, इनिशियल कॉस्ट एंड रनिंग कॉस्ट, ईवी विल बी मेकिंग सेंस कंप्लीटली।
मैं एक लेमैन टर्म में एक बैक ऑफ द एनवेलप कैलकुलेशन करते हैं। एक इस साइज की गाड़ी का टैंक होता है 50 लीटर।
हाँ जी।
यूजुअली उसमें 10 लीटर रिजर्व होता है। अगर मैं ये मान लूँ कि इसमें 40 लीटर पेट्रोल टंकी फुल करने के लिए चाहिए, तो पेट्रोल अगर आप डाल रहे हैं तो वो कम से कम 4,000 रुपया आ गया कॉस्ट एक बार में टंकी फुल करने का। और उस 40 लीटर में वो गाड़ी आपको 15 किलोमीटर के हिसाब से अगर माइलेज देती है। ये गाड़ी आपका टंकी फुल होने में कितना लेती है?
देखिए, ये गाड़ी की बैटरी है 50 किलोवाट्स मांगते हैं। हम दिल्ली में हैं तो यहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी चार्जेस जो हैं वो अराउंड ₹5 ₹5.5 पर किलोवाट है। तो 5 × 50 ₹250 हो गया, ₹250, प्लस चार्जेस टैक्स वगैरह मिला के जो आपने खर्चा किया, तो हम ₹300 ले लेते हैं। तो ₹300 में आपको 50 किलोवाट की बैटरी चार्ज हो गई पूरी।
टंकी फुल आपकी?
टंकी फुल हो गई ₹350 में।
₹350 में?
350 रुपए में
400 लगा लिया हमने।
अब उसमें आपकी गाड़ी की जो रेंज है सर्टिफाइड, वो 461 किलोमीटर है। मैं कहता हूँ कि चलिए आप 461 नहीं चला पाते हैं, 10-15 कम कर लिए, 400 चला लीजिए, 400 कर लीजिए। तो 350 या 400 रुपए में आप 400 किलोमीटर चला रहे हैं,
यानी ₹1 के आसपास या उससे कम।
अप्रोक्सीमेटली अंदाजन 90 पैसे ₹1 किलोमीटर खर्चा पड़ता है। तो आपके जो 600 रुपए में, 600 किलोमीटर में आपको खर्चा आएगा 4,000 रुपए का। यहाँ पे 600 किलोमीटर में खर्चा आएगा 600 रुपए का।
दैट इज द मैथ्स ऑफ दिस, कि अगर आप आज इस कॉस्ट को बिल्ट इन करेंगे अगले 5 साल, तो यू हैव एक्चुअली गॉटन ओवर
बिल्कुल
योर जो प्राइस कंसर्न।
एक आपकी ओनरशिप पूरी जगह आप देखोगे, दिस इज बेटर क्वालिटी ऑफ ड्राइविंग, ऑटोमेटिक है, दिस ईवी इज एन ऑटोमेटिक है, साइलेंस है, पीस ऑफ माइंड है, रनिंग कॉस्ट कम है, मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट भी कम है, एंड मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली सब कुछ करके, तो मैथ्स वाइज इट मेक सेंस, पैसे वाइज इट मेक सेंस। यू आर मेकिंग वन स्टेप टू मेकिंग अ बेटर प्लैनेट, कि जो आप लोग देख रहे हैं रिगार्डिंग पोल्यूशन,
you become part of a larger goal.
Yes.
You know, you're not just confined कि मैं A to B point से जा रहा हूँ.
You feel that you are also contributing your bit. You are changing what you can to make this planet go back to originals of being green, being the real blue planet.
ये गाड़ियाँ उतनी ही सेफ है जैसे आजकल 6 airbags,
Absolutely.
all those bells,
Yes,
वो
yes.
सब इन गाड़ियों में है?
Not a question to ask at all. Believe me, there is no problem at all on these things.
यानी आप
These are international
I'm
standard.
talking about the MG cars.
Yeah. These are international standard cars. MG, this ZS EV is sold in Europe. This ZS EV is sold in UK. It is sold in Australia. It's an ANCAP certified rating car as well. So you don't, ANCAP 5-star rating actually. So you don't have to worry about safety of these vehicles. However, I will always say that no matter how safe a vehicle is, you have to always remain cautious and remain, a responsible driver when you are on the roads.
एक गूगल पे सवाल जो और है वो चार्जिंग को लेकर के, कि साहब मेरे को चार्जिंग मिलेगा कि नहीं, क्या ये इकोसिस्टम जो है पूरा चार्जिंग का मैट्रिक्स बढ़ रहा है, बढ़ाएगा, क्या प्रोजेक्शन है, क्या ग्रोथ रेट है?
देखिए, जैसे अभी मैं आपको बता रहा था, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 10,000 डीसी फास्ट चार्जर्स इंडिया में ऑलरेडी हैं आज के दिन में। और उन सबको, जैसे आपको
पब्लिक स्पेस में है,
ये पब्लिक स्पेस में है, और लोगों को अभी आइडिया नहीं था कि ये कहाँ पर हैं, बिकॉज जैसे कि ये चार्जर लगा हुआ है। अब हम लोग यूज टू हैं पेट्रोल पंप्स, जो हम लोग बचपन से देखते आए हैं कि भाई बड़ा सेटअप होगा, 10-12 स्टेशन होंगे और वहाँ पे लोग गाड़ियाँ खड़ी होंगी। तो अभी ये शुरुआत है, तो ऐसे बहुत चार्जर्स लग रहे हैं इंडिया में। अब चार्जिंग हब्स भी बन रहे हैं कि एक ही जगह में 5 या 10 चार्जर्स लग जाएंगे, जहाँ पे आप जाके अपनी गाड़ी चार्ज कर सकते हैं, अपनी वॉशरूम ब्रेक, रिफ्रेशमेंट ब्रेक आप कर सकते हैं, एंड यू कैन चार्ज योर व्हीकल। सो द मूवमेंट हैज स्टार्टेड। जैसा आपका सवाल था, चार्जर्स नहीं है, तो अगर मैं किसी अपने दोस्त से बोलता हूँ मैं ईवी लेने जा रहा हूँ, उसका सवाल आता है, अरे चार्जिंग कहाँ करोगे तुम? बट द पॉइंट इज चार्जर्स आर देयर। तो ये जो ई हब जो एमजी ने इनिशिएटिव लिया है कि सबको इकट्ठा कर दें, उससे आपके जो कंसर्न है कि यार चार्जर्स तो हैं, जैसे आपने ऐप खोला आप देखो कि यार ये तो ऐप चार्जर्स आर एवरीवेयर, दैट विल गिव यू द कॉन्फिडेंस। तो ये
also the fact कि आप बता रहे थे कि कोई लोग ऐसे हैं जो कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी गए हैं,
एग्जैक्टली
दैट वर्ड ऑफ माउथ कि लोगों को जो पता चलेगा कि एक एंजाइटी ये भी कि भाई कहीं मैं बीच में स्ट्रैंड ना हो जाऊं।
नहीं, ये अब आज के दिन में आई कैन से विद कॉन्फिडेंस दैट व्हेन यू आर इन एन ईवी you will not have the problem of getting stranded on the road, because the chargers are very well placed already, and provided you have the right aggregator and the app, you will be able to know कि chargers है कहाँ पे, and once you know it, you plan your journey. And अभी तो शुरुआत है, अभी 8 से 10,000 chargers already हैं, but every company is installing more and more chargers,
and more
so this
players,
is only going to go up.
More players are coming into this billing and this infrastructure.
Yes. So the whole momentum will happen किस तरह से? मैं कह रहा हूँ कि अभी आज के दिन में EV segment में choice of cars is also limited. There are few manufacturers who are offering EV cars. That is number one. But you are seeing this year and next year more cars are coming in the market. So customer will have choice. Consumer के पास choice होगी. अभी limited choice. Second, जो charging infrastructure का सवाल था, वो through e-hub जैसे जो MG कर रहा है और ऐसे initiatives और भी होंगे, तो कस्टमर को कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा, दे विल गेट कॉन्फिडेंट कि यार चार्जिंग इज अवेलेबल, इट्स ओनली मैटर ऑफ हाउ आई फाइंड देम, एंड वंस देयर आर मोर एंड मोर ऑफ देम, यू विल बी मोर, दे विल गेट मोर विजिबल, यू विल गेट मोर कॉन्फिडेंस,
more service centers, more jobs,
more people available to say, he said, I know how to fix an EV, I know how to repair an EV, but it's better to go always to a qualified, certified center always, as in any case. And the third part, like you mentioned, the factor of कि थोड़ी महंगी लग रही है. There's a lot of work happening on how to make this entire package, initially affordable, and also to communicate, to educate कि पूरे life cycle में EV is better for you. So if I was to sum it up, I would say more choice of vehicles, infrastructure awareness through the e-hub, सारे aggregators इकट्ठे आ सकते हैं, being responsible about education, that is everything is available through, let's say, an EVpedia. Adding on more to it would be that second life of the battery, where you are also providing responsibility of, you're taking responsibility in a way to helping education of people who they have power shortage, जहाँ बिजली की कमी है, वहाँ से इसके cells बैटरी के वो यूज हो सकते हैं revive के through. So these are all steps being taken to move forward towards a movement of green.
I will take your point from here, and I will like to say here that to move towards green, ये कोई ordinary template नहीं है जो कि ड्राइंग रूम्स में डिस्कस किया जाना चाहिए या रेस्टोरेंट्स में इसकी बात की जानी चाहिए. दिस इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट, क्योंकि अगर आप ये नहीं करते हैं, इस कॉज का हिस्सा नहीं बनते हैं, तो हाथ कंगन को आरसी क्या. वी हैव लिविंग एग्जाम्पल्स हाउ द प्लैनेट एंड द क्लाइमेट इज डिटीरिएटिंग. यू हैव unprecedented floods ravaging through parts of Himachal Pradesh, and you have devastation in Wayanad from the north of the country to the south. We are witnessing the perils of not going green. If we don't change now, it could well be in some time a little too late. Thanks very much, Gaurav.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you very much. Lovely to talk with you.
We wish you success, not just in selling more cars. Of course, that's your motive, but I think selling good cars.
I would also add here, our motive, selling cars, of course, providing people a transportation. At the same time, these initiatives, Rahul, are our actions to serve as a catalyst to build a momentum to enable faster EV adoption. These steps actually, Rahul, are a step from MG to drive faster adoption of EVs.
We wish you luck.
Thank you so much.
We wish you luck. It's good for everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.